Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, I had a voice radio. So today, we're going to be looking at a new Regirock card, and that makes me absolutely delighted. Because there's only really two legendary Pokemon that I like, Regigigas and Regirock. So having a new Regirock card coming out, one that's actually pretty gosh darn tasty, makes me extremely happy indeed. I mean, I've told the stories many times, but I did use a Regirock, the one from Legends Awaken, in my Donphan deck, my literal favourite deck ever, and I did once play a quad Regirock deck, the promo Regirock, and I did make a video about that. I'll try and link it in the description. Still a genuinely viable deck in Expanded. It's got a couple of bad matchups, but other than that, it's actually really good. So seeing a new Regirock coming along makes Wossie very happy indeed. Now it is a fighting Pokemon, which is good because you've got lots of extra new tricks. For a short period of time before the rotation, you will have strong energy, allowing you to do an extra 20 damage, and you will actually have a Regirock EX for a short period of time before the rotation. But honestly, Regirock has been pretty much outclassed by Diancie, which allows you to do an extra 20 damage, though it is a Prism Star card, so you can only have one in your deck. And if it gets discarded, it goes straight to the Lost Zone. But you also get the benefit of Brooklet Hill here, whereby you can just search out a basic water or fighting Pokemon, put them straight on your bench. Given that Regirock is a basic, this is, shall we say, quite the advantage. Now, Regirock here does have 120 HP, which is actually very disappointing, because it means Zoroark can get a one-hit KO. And one of the best uses for this is as a Zoroark counter. You really want 130 so it can take a hit from Zoroark. Or, well, I would say take a hit from Golisopod, but, you know, weakness. We'll get to that in a second. Or take a hit from a Silvally. And, of course, Silvally and Zoroark are both being hit for weakness because you're a fighting Pokemon. So, actually, being able to be one hit by both of those is kind of disappointing, if I'm completely honest. You do have the aforementioned weakness to Grass, which I suppose means Tapu Bulu and Golisopod. But both of those have attacks that just hit for 120 anyway, so the weakness weirdly becomes kind of irrelevant. And a retreat cost of 3 is very high. You've got Heavy Ball for a short period of time before the rotation, but to be honest, you've got Brooklet Hill, which is better for searching it out anyway, to be honest. Little bit high, little bit annoying, can't have everything. And of course, you are hitting a great weakness here against stuff like Silvally, and especially Zoroark. Now, our translation here is another dual translation. We got it from David Hochmann over at limitlesstcg.com/translations. But it was also sent to me as a private message over Twitter by the lovely Antoine Boulet. As I said before, he did send me the cards he was most excited about. This was one of them. And the good news is they both agree on the translations and are lovely men. Now, the first attack is what makes us super excited about Regirock, and what makes me pretty convinced it will see play. 20 damage for 1 fighting energy. If this Pokemon has a tool attached to it, it does 20 more damage. And the reason this attack is so gosh darn good is it hits the numbers. Let's count it through, shall we, ladies and gentlemen? 20 damage, you attach a tool, it's 40 damage. Let's say that tool is a choice band, now you're up to 70 damage. Make the energy a strong energy, you're up to 90 damage. Pop a Diancie Prism Star on the bench, you're up to 110 damage. And this is just choice band strong energy Diancie. And bearing in mind you're playing Brooklet Hill, this is not the most difficult combination to pull off ever. You're hitting 110 damage. Why is this relevant? Because it's a one-hit KO on Zoroark GX. It means you are hitting 220 damage with weakness, and you're getting a one-hit KO on Zoroark, and you're getting a one-hit KO on Silvally. And this is absolutely huge, because Buzzwole basically can't do this. There is a brief exception, I'll get to that in a second. But generally speaking with Buzzwole, you attach a strong energy and a choice band, pop a Diancie on the bench, and you're hitting 100, 200 with weakness, which means you will be getting a one-hit KO on Drampa, but you won't be getting a one-hit KO on Zoroark or Silvally. And yes, I know that Buzzwole and Ultra Necrozma are taking over the format at the moment, but Zoroark remains a great card. And even if Zoroark doesn't see much play as an attacker, it will still see play sitting on the bench as a draw engine, especially when we lose Octillery to the rotation. So even if it's not the focus of decks, I expect to see 1-1-2-2 lines in a whole bunch of decks, and Regirock will take it down in a way that Buzzwole can't. Now, I did say there was an exception. Buzzwole can actually do this with Beast Energy. It will then hit the same amount of damage as a Regirock. Essentially, Beast Energy does 10 more than Strong Energy, making up for the fact that Buzzwole does 10 less than Regirock. But of course, Beast Energy is another one of these 1 per deck Prism Star cards, so although it does remain an option, it's not something on which you should be relying. So the point here about Regirock is incredibly simple. You have a fairly straightforward, very achievable way of getting a one-hit KO on basically any fighting weak GX. Now, if you have ones that are above 220, then you get a little bit awkward, although there are not any relevant ones there at the moment, and you could always get a 2-turn thing where you use 2 strong energy to do it, or you could even play something like a Professor Kukui here, although when you start adding in Kukui, you do get into slightly awkward, are you really going to be able to pull that off territory. And it very much depends on the metagame, but if you expect to see any Silvally, Zoroark, or similar in your metagame, and you're playing a fighting deck, you're playing Regirock. Because you're already playing Strong Energy, you're already playing Choice Band, you're already playing Diancie Prism Star. It's 1 card in your deck, but Buzzwole cannot get an easy one-hit KO on these without its once per game Prism Star card. Regirock can. And here's the thing, right? Even if you're not getting one-hit KOs, you're still doing 110 on a GX for a single energy. That's not too bad. Alright, it's a 2-hit KO on something like an Ultra Necrozma, which is kind of disappointing, and it's a 2-hit KO on something like a Duskmane Necrozma, which is kind of disappointing. But the fact remains that it's still a lot of damage for 1 energy on a single prize Pokemon. And you could use this to finish off a Pokemon. You end up with a Pokemon with 100 damage left. In comes Regirock, takes the KO without having to leave a 2-prize Pokemon in the active ready to get KO'd. It's a basic Pokemon that for 1 energy hits great damage. It's as efficient as you like. I am a big, big fan of this. And there's even a second attack here, which is kind of useful. 3 energy, 100 damage, discard the top card of your opponent's deck. This is where the low HP really starts to hurt. If it had 130 rather than 120, then we might be able to get a little more excited about this, because then it would be able to take a hit from a bunch of relevant Pokemon. And might I remind you about the Regirock from Crimson Invasion? Weirdly enough, there's only been 3 sets between the Regis here, which is kind of cool. I would love a set of Regis every 3 sets from now until, well, let's say when the game ends, but then I have to think about the game ending, and that makes me sad. So let's just say the end of time. I would be well up for this. It would make me delighted. But the point is that the Regirock from Crimson Invasion had 130 HP. Little bit sad. Honestly, here, this is just a bit too expensive. And look, it's a basic, so you can use Max Elixir. Even if you wanted to go really weird, you could use B-String onto a Buzzwole and then Ninja Boy into a Regirock. I mean, don't. Please don't. That's way too awkward. I mean, look, it doesn't do enough. Not for free energy. For free energy, you might as well have it on a Buzzwole, to be perfectly honest with you. I like discarding the top card of your opponent's deck. That's kind of cool. But honestly here, unless they're like 1 card away from decking out, it's too expensive. And don't get me wrong, right? I like that you've got this option, and I like that you've got this second attack, but no. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. It's just not... It's not good enough. But it doesn't really matter, to be perfectly honest, because the first attack is. I can't really muster any excitement for the second attack. I'm sorry, I just can't. Although I do like discarding the top card of their deck, but even so. And the HP is 10 HP lower than I'd like, and I've made this point in many videos in the past. There's a big difference at the moment between 120 and 130. Fine. But I'll tell you something for nothing, ladies and gentlemen. This first attack is absolutely brilliant. It is significantly better than Buzzwole's Jet Punch at KOing something like a Zoroark, and I do expect this to be played in Buzzwole and other fighting decks. just so long as we're expecting to see stuff like Silvally and Zoroark. If there's none of that, then I suppose you wouldn't need to play it. Of course, after rotation, we're losing strong energy, and that's really going to hurt the viability of Regirock here, which is a little bit of a pain, so come on, reprint of strong energy. But for the time being, I'm giving Regirock 4 Wassies, and maybe that's slightly boosted because it's one of my only 2 legendaries which I actually like. Or maybe it's just because it hits great numbers and I love it. There we go. Simple as that. But as always, ladies and gentlemen, I would love to hear from you, lovely ladies and gentlemen, how fond you are of this particular Regirock, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and so on, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do just that. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.